This episode of the Feelings Over Facts podcast is sponsored by our YouTube channel. Head over to the Feelings Over Facts Sports Podcast YouTube and give us a subscribe and a like. Thank you. Welcome into the Feelings Over Facts podcast. I'm your host, Zach Simmons. Here my co-host, Daniel Jones, a.k.a. DJ. DJ, how are you feeling?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm feeling great. It is Friday. We got some great games on this weekend. It's a great day to be talking sports, as always.
Indeed. Can't complain.
For sure. So we got a lot to get to today, but first let me talk off the top. If you're not yet subscribed to the Feelings Over Facts YouTube, head over there to Feelings Over Facts YouTube / Feelings Over Facts and give us a subscribe and join the live stream. We live stream all of our podcasts, so you can join the live stream and ask us any sports questions that you want. We answer all questions that are thrown into the chat during our podcast recording, as well as head over to our Instagram and TikTok and give us a follow and a like. We post lots of fun short form content over there. All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about what missed today's show. What missed today's show? ESPN released a poll yesterday that shows that Joel Embiid is the early season MVP for the NBA. In his last month, DJ, he's averaging 40 and 13. So Joel Embiid absolutely dominating. What also missed the show? The Africa Cup of Nations starts next Saturday as Senegal is looking to repeat. And finally, Nikola Jokic last night hits a 40-foot buzzer beater to beat the Golden State Warriors.
It was an impressive shot.
Very impressive. It brought back painful memories, as I feel like he hit about 15 of those against the Lakers in their series last year. So it was painful to rewatch that.
Also, what I missed in the show is congratulations to Shaquille O'Neal on getting his third jersey retired for a different organization. He is now getting the first ever Orlando Magic's player to ever have his jersey retired. So very well done for Shaq. Three franchises. I mean, it's pretty big.
Very impressive. I cannot think of any other player besides one that has had as much success as him with 3 different franchises. So, but I'll leave you all to figure that who that out is. All right.
Got some slaughter right there. Also, what else missed the show is Zach's rocking a hockey haircut. He says it's a mullet, but really, all we're missing is just some hockey pads, and he's got like the Forsberg look going perfectly. This is not a mullet. This is full on hockey, just hooligan right now.
Yeah, I walked into the barbershop and said, I want to play hockey. And they said, say no more.
Say it. Gotta work on the teeth.
Got you covered. Yeah, got to lose a few teeth. All right. Moving right along into the segments that we have on today's show. DJ, this weekend is the final regular season weekend in the NFL. It's very sad. It's coming to a close. I feel like it just started. You know, I feel like we were just yesterday. We were starting our first episode of our podcast, and we were talking NFL draft, and now we're 30 plus episodes in, and it's the season's coming to a close. You know, it's bittersweet, but
all great things must come to an end to start a new season next year, which we will talk more draft stuff. But that also means that we will start covering more sports besides just football, because this has been a very heavy football-dominated podcast.
For sure. Yep. As football comes to a close, we'll move into some more soccer talk, some more basketball, Maybe we'll even
Maybe.
discuss some hockey, you know?
There you go. You're going to do some research.
Yeah, I'm going to have to figure some things out. But our first segment today, DJ, I mentioned this because this weekend is the last weekend for the NFL. So I wanted us to have a conversation around a few players and coaches that this weekend, could it be their last game with their current team that they are with? Do we see them being with someone else next season, or do we think that they will be back? So I'm just going to rattle off some names, or I'm just going to say a name, and then we're going to discuss, do we think that they will be back next season with their current team? And we're going to start with Mr. Justin Fields, quarterback for the Chicago Bears. DJ, do you think he will be back next season as the quarterback for the Chicago Bears?
I do. I think that this late surgence in their this season, this last year, has really saved him. I think that they are playing really good as a team, and I think that the fan base is also really galvanized around Justin Fields. So for me, I think it's an easy keep him and then just go get him Marvin Harrison Jr. with the first pick, or trade back and then get another good receiver. Either or, just get him more weapons, get him more offensive line, get him a running back, just get him anything he needs, everything he needs. Because if this is going to be your guy, then you have to really commit. And I think that this year he showed, he has some things to still work on, but I still think that they could win with him. And I think that they should get the right pieces around with him. So, I mean, just imagine, though, Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore together would be spicy.
That would be a fun combo for sure. But I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think that he will, or maybe I'm not totally disagreeing with you. I don't know. If they draft a quarterback, number one overall, is he still there?
No, I imagine he goes to Atlanta.
Okay, then I do not think he is there next season.
Or Washington.
I think the Chicago Bears have already locked up the number one pick in this next season's draft. And
not because of themselves.
Yes, because the Carolina Panthers are woeful. That pick is owned by the Chicago Bears, and they are going to be the team that is making the number one selection unless they trade it in the 2024 NFL draft. And I think that with having the number one pick, with a couple quarterbacks, a couple blue chip quarterback prospects in this next upcoming NFL draft, I think that they are definitely going to be selecting a quarterback. Justin Fields has had a great into a season. He's been playing very well, but even the end of the season, in games that he's been playing well, he's still only been completing 59% of his throws. And he has not done well enough over the course of his career to justify them passing up on a blue chip, Caleb Williams, Drake May type prospect, in my opinion.
Let's dissect that for a second, though. Hold a second. Okay. After the college season that you have seen from both May and Williams, do you feel any better about them being your starting quarterback for an NFL franchise? Honestly, yes. If you're a GM, okay, explain why.
I can't speak as much to Drake May, but I have watched a considerable amount of Caleb Williams. And I think that he does have all of the talent and the ability to be worthy of the number one pick. And obviously Justin Fields did not have that. And if you're taking Caleb Williams over Justin Fields, you're just getting a guy that could potentially be better on his rookie contract, with the ability, with those picks that they got from Carolina, to be able to build around him. Justin Fields, they're going to have to make a decision on if they're going to pay sooner than a Caleb Williams. So I think that drafting someone who could have a higher upside, like Caleb Williams, like a Drake May, is a better option than sticking with what you've got with Justin Fields, pretty much. And that's a 60% completion, QBR, middle of the NFL type of guy. And I think that the fans and the coaching staff is ready to move on. And I think that tails that Justin Fields will be somewhere else next season, in my opinion.
I don't know, but for me, if you think it was bad how Caleb Williams reacted this year to the scrutiny that he got in college, it's going to be even worse in the pros. And I think that in between the years, he's got a lot to work on.
For sure.
That's just a personal opinion. And obviously, like, there could be things that are happening that parapersonal or within the program that it's just really bugging him, and he just had to take a break when, mental health is important. But at the same time, it's, you're a quarterback. This is part of your obligation as the face of the franchise. So you have to get used to that. So I think Mike said that Michael Penix is the best quarterback in the class. That's why I said Michael. But I think Caleb is got all the talent, got a great arm. It's all between the ears for me.
Yep, for sure. If he can figure that out, I think he'd be more than justified as the number one pick. Yeah, in the YouTube chat, Mike is saying Michael Penix will be the best in this class. So I'm not sure that will be common opinion come draft time, but we will see for sure. All right,
man. How long are you going to just diss on Michael Penix? It's not working out for you there, brother.
It's becoming increasingly difficult to do so, but we stay persistent. All right, moving right along to our next player/coach, Bill Belichick, longtime Hall of Fame head coach of the New England Patriots. Do we think he will be with the New England Patriots come next season?
I don't think so. Now, who's going to replace that? I have no idea. But I don't see him being there next year. I think that this year really showed that his GM skills have kind of declined a little bit. That I would say that.
I mean, they weren't that great during their dynasty run.
No, he got one right, and it was the quarterback, and that's the most important position in all of football. So
did he get it right though? They drafted him a little late.
Yes, they got it right. I mean, they drafted him. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
AB was a 6th round pick. I mean, you want to keep doing that? Like we can go back and look at all the late round guys if you really want to turn into Hall of Famers. I mean, sheesh, Terrell Davis for the Broncos was an undrafted running back, and then the only reason why he got a chance because in the preseason game when they played in Tokyo, he knocked somebody out, and they're like, "Oh, give him the ball," and he turned into a Hall of Famer. So like, it's all about chances and who you get. But recency bias, his GM skills. I think the Bill Belichick GM is between Bill Belichick as the GM and Bill Belichick as the head coach. The GM version is what they got them to this point right now. I still think he's a good coach. I mean, the quarterback position is the biggest glaring problem. I think that defense is still really good. But yeah, it's a no for me. I don't think he's New England next year.
I think it really depends on what he wants. Does he care about two things actually? Does he care about becoming the catching? It's Shula, right? Is the only coach that's ahead of him in wins. Does he care about catching Shula? Because if he goes to a good team, he could potentially very much do that. And does he care about his legacy? Because his legacy, albeit if it's fair or not, has taken a hit with Tom Brady leaving and winning a Super Bowl. That hurt his legacy because it showed that their dynasty, and with the Patriots becoming bad, that also hurt it at the same time that Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. That has hurt his legacy, showing that dynastic run that we saw with the New England Patriots that we haven't seen the likes of, and we might not ever see again, could be the main contributor to it, could be Tom Brady. And Bill Belichick was just the guy that was in place while the best quarterback of all time was winning a bunch of Super Bowls. So it depends.
I feel like you're really just crapping on how good his defenses were back then.
I mean, I might be, but I'm not saying his legacy should have taken a hit. I'm saying that you can't refute that it has because of the Patriots being bad when Tom Brady left, and then the Buccaneers being really good. Now that could just be because Tom Brady went to a really good team with great players around him, and they won a Super Bowl. But it still can't be refuted that made his legacy take a hit. And if he wants to improve upon that, and he wants to go to a good team and try to take a stab at winning another Super Bowl to improve his legacy, then yeah, 100% I could see him at another team next year. But if he doesn't really care about that, and Bill doesn't really strike me as the guy that would, that's why I'm leaning towards, I think that he's just going to retire as a Patriots coach. I think it's going to be a little bit of a forced retirement kind of thing. I think they're going to say, "Hey, we're ready to move on. We don't want to publicly say that we're firing you, but that's what's happening." So he might just call it there. Is what I could see happening with him, more so than seeing him on a new team.
I mean, that's fair. I don't know. I just think that he still has a lot left in the tank as a coach, and if he's not afraid to kind of go out on a limb and bet on himself. That's what he did to get the New England job. I mean, he was in line to be the next head coach of the New York Jets when Parcells retired.
Yeah,
and I mean, he was like, "No, I want to go to New England because it's a better situation." That's basically what he said. I mean, that's basically what happened. He's like, "Yeah, I don't want to be in New York. This is not a good situation. It's not going to work out well. Let's just get." So
right.
I mean, we'll see. That's up for debate, but there you go.
Yep, good point. All right, moving on to our next player, DJ. This one is near and dear to your heart. Mr. Derrick Henry. Do you think Derrick Henry will be with the Tennessee Titans come next season?
I kind of want you to go first on this one.
Okay. I don't know the full extent of his contract. It's up this year, though, correct?
Yeah, he's a free agent.
Okay. I don't think he's getting big money or anywhere else. So that leads me to think that he's going to be staying. I mean, his whole career has been with the Tennessee Titans. And I really feel like he loves playing under Vrabel, loves the style of football that Vrabel loves to play. And I think that he's kind of accepted this role of letting Tajay Spears get more and more involved in the offense. And I think that there's a really good shot that he could be back next year for a much like if he's going to take less money, why go somewhere else? You know, why not just play out your career for less money with the same team, retire a Titan. You're going to be in the Titans. He's in the Titans Hall of Fame, right? Like for sure.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. They're going to retire his jersey. Like, you know, just play out your career with the Titans. I can see that happening.
I don't know if I imagine they would retire his jersey, but I imagine they would retire, CJ2K's first and then his, if they're going to do that.
Yeah, but I guess you may have this point, but the counter to that would be like Dalvin Cook. Like he played his whole career with the Minnesota Vikings, and then coming to the end of his career, he shifts over to the Jets for a season. So we've seen players do it before, but I just think that Henry's the type of guy that I think he might want to play out his whole career with the Titans.
So all that being said, yeah, that is true. I do think he loves Tennessee. The fan base loves him. Most of the fan base loves him. There has been some not rumbling. I've seen some people online and people, say out loud, let's get rid of Derrick. He, completely handicaps our offense, which on some level he does because we have to give him the ball 20 to 25 times for him to be effective. We paid him, pretty decent contract, which honestly, if you're looking at it, instead of us paying a tight end, we paid for a really good running back. Yeah. And I still think I would still take Derrick in a heartbeat, but I think this is it. I think he's going to go ring chasing. I don't blame him for going ring chasing. The guy needs to go get a Super Bowl. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's
out?
I do think he's out. I think he's a Hall of Famer. It's not really like a uniform, like have to hit this yard marker to be a Hall of Famer. But if he gets over, 10,000 career rushing yards, and he's a 2K yard runner, he's a future Hall of Famer in my book.
Yeah, I don't think any running back, and I would have to fact check it, but I don't think any running back over 10,000 is in the Hall of Fame.
Isn't in the Hall of Fame?
Isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Eddie George is getting close near the final. I think he makes it like the semifinals like this last year. Yeah. And Eddie George just short of that.
It's hard to get in the NFL Hall of Fame. It's one of the most like respected, and it's so much better than the NBA Hall of Fame. Like there's so many people in the NBA Hall of Fame that should be in it.
The NBA Hall of Fame isn't really the NBA Hall of Fame. It's just a basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah. It's all basketball. So it's not really up to the NBA to say who does or doesn't go. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. I do think Derrick's a future Hall of Famer. I mean, I 100% think if he didn't get hurt that year where he had almost 1,000 yards through 9 games, he probably would have gotten 2K again. He would have been the only running back to get 2K ever. He's going down as one of my favorite football players of all time. You know, as a Bama fan and a Titans fan, I got to watch him and cheer for him my entire career.
Yeah,
or his entire career. Not my. I'm not playing anymore. It's sad because I understand it, and from a business standpoint, you know, we do predicate a lot of our offense around Derek, and we have to make sure he gets his touches, and that's a lot of money to be throwing at a running back who's getting close to 30.
Yeah.
And I mean, he did get over 1,000 yards this year, which, you know, that's no small feat. Like, if you get over 1,000 yards as a running back in the NFL, that's impressive regardless of who you are. But I mean, this guy used to be leading the league in rushing for a couple of years and was like the best running back in the NFL. And I'm not going to listen to anybody say that Christian McCaffrey was during that time, because what Derrick Henry was doing was unprecedented. I think he's like one of the first running backs to have 5 years of having over 1,000 yards and 10 plus touchdowns. Now, it wasn't consecutively because of that injury-ridden year that he had where he got hurt on his foot.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's another season, like, he would have had 6 in a row, which would have been insane. I mean, the spurt of where he came into start to finish, I mean, it's impressive. But yeah, I do think he's gone. R.I.P. He's probably my favorite Titan of all time, easily, without a shadow of a doubt.
Would you like to see him retire a Titan, or are you fine with him going
I'd love Super Bowl? I'd love to see him retire a Titan. I'd love for him to just sit here, still be somewhat productive, ride our bench, and then we eventually get so good that we have a Super Bowl run and he wins the Super Bowl and retires the next year, in the next 3 or 4 years. Is that gonna happen? Probably not. I mean, I would have loved to see Kevin Byard retire as a Titan, because he's done so much for this franchise. And you know, I'd love to see Jeffrey Simmons retire a Titan and get him a Super Bowl. But I mean, right now where our franchise is, right, it's just not in the cards for us to be, you know, a Super Bowl team. We're not even a playoff team. Let's talk about making the playoffs first before we talk about Super Bowls.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Yeah, I just don't think it's. I don't hate him for it either, as long as he doesn't go to the Colts or the Texans or the Jags.
I don't think
he can go anywhere else. I don't think he would either.
I mean, none of those teams are really at this moment true Super Bowl contenders either. So
yeah, it's fair. I could see him going to Dallas. I could see him going to Buffalo. I could see him going to Baltimore.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, or Miami, but that'd be weird.
That would be kind of weird. All right, moving right along. On to our next coach, Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys. Could you see this one's kind of weird because the Cowboys have had such a great season, but the expectations for the Cowboys are always so high. Even with how great the Cowboys have been this year, if they lose their first playoff game, the questions are going to be there. Should Mike McCarthy be back? So, DJ, do you think Mike McCarthy is back next year with the Dallas Cowboys or no?
I do think he's back, and there's one reason why. Is because Jerry Jones loves a puppet master that he can just sit there and just tell him what to do. Now, I'm not saying he makes the game plans. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, hey, I'm drafting this player, and you're going to be okay with it. And he's like, yes, sir, Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
I think Mike McCarthy's a good head coach now. I think he's a butterball. The Dallas Cowboys are going to absolutely fumble this away in some point in the playoffs. It's going to happen. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, man, I just see it coming from a mile away.
I think it really depends on how they do in the postseason. I mean, if they don't at least make the NFC Championship, like, you can't run it back with them. Like, you literally can't. I think
like 3 years in a row where they didn't make it to the
winning 11 or 12 games every single season. So I think Jerry isn't senile enough yet where he can't recognize that. So they're not getting rid of Dak. So if they keep underachieving, the obvious move is to get rid of McCarthy. So I think if they don't at least make the NFC Championship, then McCarthy's gone for sure. So that one's pretty straightforward for me. Another one that's fun is T. Higgins. His contract is up with the Cincinnati Bengals this offseason. They obviously just paid Joe Burrow. They're going to have to be paying Jamar Chase here soon as well. So, DJ, do you think that T. Higgins is back next season with the Cincinnati Bengals? And if he's not, where could you see him going?
I don't think he's back, and I think he should come to the Tennessee Titans.
To the Titans. Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about places that have money, we got money this coming next year. We need a receiver, a young guy that, well, unfortunately, this year he's been pretty available until this year. But I mean, I think he'd be a really solid guy to have. And if for some reason we don't take tackle in the first round this year, and we take receiver high, like if it's Marvin Harrison Jr., which I don't think it's going to be, if it's a Dunze or any of those dogs up top,
Coleman, Florida State, I think is another.
That's
going to be a high draft pick.
Neighbors from LSU, he's really good too.
Yeah.
We just need a dog on the outside because Traylon Burks ain't it. So, would I love to have T Higgins? Yes, because I think he's a pretty solid. He's a great 2. I don't know if he's a 1, but he could be a really good 2.
Oh, he's a 1.
You think so?
For sure. Yeah, 100%.
I think D-Hop's back next year, so that's why I'm saying he might be a 2 technically.
I think,
but long term he'd be a 1. Hopefully,
D-Hop obviously an amazing receiver. He's still really good, but I think that D-Hop probably had a higher ceiling in his career. But at this point in both their careers, I would take T Higgins over DeAndre Hopkins. I think be close.
And this is another reason why I said I'm okay with letting Derek walk, because I think we need to get more of a passing attack to actually let people, be scared. And then we do little draws and inside zones and let Tajay Spears do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, T Higgins is gone. He's not on the Cincinnati Bengals next year.
I don't think so.
From what I can see, I think that they made that decision at the beginning of this season when they didn't trade him. They decided that they wanted to try. They felt like they had a really good team, and they want to try to run it back and try to get a Super Bowl in this era before they have to pay all of their guys. So that's why they kept him and didn't trade him. I think that they made that decision that he was gone, and so did he and his camp before this season ever even started. So they're going to pay Jamar Chase. They're going to roll with a number 2 like a Tyler Boyd or something like that. But I think T Higgins is definitely gone. Where he'll go, shoot, I don't really know. I mean, honestly, probably the highest bidder, if I'm being completely honest.
That's kind of what I said the Titans, because we have money.
Maybe Chicago. Chicago's got money. Yep, Titans have money. So I not a clue where he'll go. Probably the highest bidder, but I do think he's definitely gone. Let's see. Got a couple more here. Let's do. This is a fun one. Jake Browning, another Cincinnati Bengals player. So obviously they have Joe Burrow. He's their quarterback of the future. But Jake Browning has kind of played so well that he is. It looks like he's better than a backup, honestly, with how well he's done. So do you think that there is a starting quarterback role for Jake Browning out there next season?
Next season, no, but I think he'll be back in Cincinnati as a backup. One of the better high-end backups that, you'll feel a little bit better with coming in, because I feel like this last year no one felt confident at all, obviously, so you just didn't know what was going to happen. But, with Burrow being kind of injury-prone, if you're Cincinnati, I feel like a backup quarterback isn't a bad investment. And I think they already said that next year he's coming back, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I remember seeing that.
They already said Jake Browning's coming back?
I think he's coming back next year. I may be wrong on that. I have to do some more research. But yeah, I see him being back in Cincinnati. And, I think Zach Taylor likes him a lot. And in the weird case that Joe Burrow gets hurt, that you have someone, to throw some sauce at your boss there in the backfield.
Yeah. For sure. I think for the most part, I agree with you. He's probably going to be back as their backup, but I think there's a situation out there where he could be on another team, like near the beginning of the season, maybe a big preseason or training camp injury to a starting quarterback. The team's like, hey, Jake Browning was awesome at the end of last year. Let's go try to trade for him. We're in a pickle. So I could maybe see that happening. That could be a situation where he could be on a different team come next season.
Kind of like the Gardner Minshew effect.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like Dobbs got traded for, but that was mid-season. But
your starter's hurt. You need something right now, just to throw out there every week.
Yeah,
and someone
you can trust. A capable team that you could still do something if you have a capable quarterback. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Could see that happening. All right, one last one, Mr. Kyler Murray. Do you think Kyler Murray is with the Arizona Cardinals next season. This one's difficult because it has lots of angles.
I think he is back next year. Their coach already came out and said that and he wears number 1, is our franchise quarterback, and he'll be back next year. So a little anticlimactic, but I do think he's back.
Yeah, but they say stuff like that all the time, and then they trade him. So I feel like it's still a valid question.
Would you rather Kyler Murray or Drake May or Caleb Williams?
I don't know. It depends what you can get for Kyler. I always lean towards the high ceiling younger guy on a cheap deal, because it's kind of similar to the Justin Fields argument, because you kind of know what you have with Kyler. Man's shown that has he even won a playoff game or made the playoffs? I know he hasn't won a playoff game.
He made the playoffs, yeah. They lost to the Rams when they won the Super Bowl.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. So I feel like you know what you have with Kyler. I feel like you can't win a Super Bowl with him. So I think that if they're in position, they could be drafting a quarterback. Mike in the chat is saying, do y'all think Justin Jefferson is a Viking next season? I definitely think Justin Jefferson is a Viking.
There's no way 2 franchises get rid of their absolute dog at receiver, and I'm saying the Titans is the first one.
Yeah.
There's no way, right?
I mean, Justin Jefferson is too good of a player. Like your franchise, it just would not accept losing him, I think. So the Vikings were looking all right at times.
Yeah, they're looking solid until this Sunday.
Yeah. I
got absolutely housed. They got absolutely housed by the Packers.
Valid question,
still a playoff team right now, technically. They're still available.
They could make it. All right, moving on. So that was a little bit of a discussion about could we see some players and coaches, this being their last week with their team. Moving on. DJ, this is week 18. Last week, some teams have already secured their spot in the playoffs, what seed they're going to be in. Like the Kansas City Chiefs have locked in the 3 seed in the AFC. They can't go down, they can't go up. So they're obviously going to be resting their starters. So I wanted us to have a little conversation here real quick about rest versus rust. Do we think it's smart to rest your starters in week 18 whenever they're going to be off for longer periods of time before their before the biggest game of your season occurs, and they could potentially be rusty? Do you think that that's smart? The old rest versus rust debate.
So there's a caveat for me. If you're the 1 seed, I think you play your starters for the first half, and then regardless of what's happening, you pull them. Now, if you're a team that's like the Browns really aren't going to go anywhere up or down. They're pretty much a 5 seed. So for me, if you're the Browns, them sitting out like Flacco and everybody, that's completely fine. It's 1 week. You're playing a wild card game next week after that anyway. Just ramp it up and practice a little bit. Just stay in shape. You'll be all right. Now, like I said, I think if you're the 1 seed, you need to play them for at least a half just to kind of get that to keep the rust off. Because I do think that is a real factor there. Having that first round bye can be detrimental to you because you get
if you're the 1 seed, you don't play your starters week 18. That's 3 weeks without playing.
3 weeks. Exactly. That's my point. So it's just like it's risky. It is risky. And you're just like, okay. And if you're not fighting for that first seed, like the Ravens this week, they're not fighting for the first seed in the playoffs in the AFC side. And I don't think the 49ers, I think, have it already locked up too because of the Eagles kind of choking there at the end of the year.
They do, yeah.
So, like, massive, like, I get it. They need to sit down some people. But I feel like certain positions need to still get out there and do some stuff. Like some offensive linemen, like get out there, don't get hurt, play a quarter. Kind of like a preseason game. Act like it's a preseason game. Do your stuff. Do your warm-ups. Do everything like you're normally playing a football game because habit helps you stay healthy, in my opinion, especially when you're a pro athlete. You hear them say it all the time in every single sport. So that's my caveat for it. But, like, I don't know. I feel like more on the AFC side and the NFC, like besides the 49ers, I think everybody else needs to play this week on the on the NFC side. Maybe not the Lions. They can't really go anywhere. They can't go up. They can't go down.
They're locked into the 3, right?
They are locked into 3, I think. But like Dallas and Philly, would be huge if Dallas loses and Philly wins. That needs to happen. Every other game, I think.
So those games are at the same exact time. I think we could see a situation where Dallas is up like 17-0, 21-0 on the Commanders at halftime. Philly sees that, and then they don't put their guys in the second half. They're like, okay, Dallas has got the 2 seed. Like, there's no point. I think that we could see a situation like that.
And we haven't really talked about doing a playoff update, but we can do that after that. And I kind of want to have some words on it if you want to. But that's fair. That's a good point. I mean, it kind of happened a couple of years ago whenever the Eagles sat out Jalen Hurts in the second half, and they put in Nate
Gardner
Sudfeld.
Minshew. Oh,
I think it was Sudfeld. I don't remember, but no, I know what you mean. Yes, and that has happened before. I think it screwed over Dallas or the Giants. I can't remember what happened, but something to that similar effect because the Eagles were not making the playoffs, which is crazy.
That's right. And it wasn't the second half. It was the last possession of the game. Like, they had a chance to win the game. And then at that point, Doug Peterson pulled Jalen Hurts and they put in their backup, and then they lost the game. And the Giants, it was somehow the Eagles screwed the Giants. That I remember that.
It was after the first quarter. I remember that.
Yes.
It wasn't the first. It wasn't the last possession of the game. It was after the first quarter. Then they pulled them, and I remember the clip because they're playing the Commanders, and Taylor Heineke was playing, and they won that. They had to win that game to get in the playoffs. The Commanders did, and I remember,
or the Giants made it if the Commanders didn't.
Yes,
and I remember that they were mad because the Eagles stopped trying and the Commanders won. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that now.
There's a clip. There's they have the mic'd up players. They had Jalen Hurts and Jonathan Allen and Chase Young both went up to him and were like, "We would have lost that game. You kept playing."
Yeah.
Just okay.
Dude, pausing on our rest versus rust debate. Some wonky stuff always happens in Week 18 of the NFL. Like always. Last season it was the or 2 seasons ago, it was the Chargers and the Raiders. Whenever both teams, or if they tied, there was a weird scenario with playoffs. If the Chargers, and the Raiders, if they tied, they would both make the playoffs. But if one team won, they would make it. And it almost tied. It was like overtime with 2 minutes left, and everyone was like,
field goal by the Chargers.
They're gonna stop trying. They're literally just gonna tie, and they're both gonna make it. Like, wonky stuff always happens the last week of the NFL. But my opinion on the rest versus rust debate, there is no scenario where you can't, where you can't not sit your guys. You have to sit your guys if you cannot change your playoff seeding. I don't care if it's the 1 seed or not, because you have to look at it both ways. If you play your guys so that they're not rusty and you have an injury, like if the Ravens played their guys and Lamar got a serious season-ending injury, that destroys your season. But if you rest them, being a little rusty doesn't destroy your season. So in my mind, there's not really a viable reason to not rest them, because things can go so bad if you play them, but they can only go a little bit bad if you rest them. So in the rest versus rust debate, my opinion is if you're locked into your spot in the playoffs, I don't want to see any valuable starters out there. My opinion.
I mean, that's fair. I know I heard that I think this game is on Saturday. Yes, the Steelers and Ravens game at 2:30. I'm pretty sure the Ravens have already came out and said that they're not playing any of their starters. That means they're even waiting even longer because they're the 1 seed. But
they're not going to play football for dang near a month.
I do think that you can make up for it with good practice times, and it depends on how you do what you do and how you put yourself in practice to stay on top of that. And if I'm hardball, you're still going out and warming up like you're normally playing a game. That's my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Got to have intense practices if you're going to not play your starters. All right, so that kind of settles our rest versus rust debate. Do we want to do a little playoff update before we do our last segment?
Yeah, I just want your opinion on some stuff. So we didn't really talk about this in the super heavily debated rundown. But, looking at the playoff picture, and I can't believe I'm saying this because there's still the fact, or there's still a chance that two AFC South teams make the playoffs. But how bad is the NFC South? I mean, that division.
It's likely at this point that two AFC South teams make it.
Yes, but how bad is the NFC South? Is what I'm saying. It's definitely the worst division in football, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. I think the AFC South overperformed. Like most people, I feel like this always happens. Everybody says this division is going to be the best, and then this division is going to be worst, and then it doesn't happen that way. Some other division just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's true. It. But I think most people knew the NFC South was going to be bad coming in.
They were pretty bad. I mean,
yeah,
that's fair. But so
I mean, there's a chance one team makes the playoffs and the rest fire their coaches. So.
Yeah. So Tampa is still fighting for a playoff spot, and in New Orleans, they both, and apparently the Falcons still have a chance, but I think a lot has to happen, and they have to beat the Saints in New Orleans. Tough game.
It's Buccaneers win and they're in, right?
Yes, if they win the division,
and they're playing the Panthers. So
yes, in Carolina. Now, some people have talked about this. I've seen some stuff online, bookies and stuff like that. There's some people looking at Carolina
pulling the upset
because
pulling a Detroit Lions of last year.
Tampa's been struggling a little bit. Yes, they've been Baker's been playing. All right, I gotta give some props to Baker. Baker's played out of his mind, played really well.
Yes,
gotta give him a lot of credit. Honestly, he deserves another contract if he hadn't been extended already.
Yeah, if not for Damar Hamlin, he might win Comeback Player of the Year. Him or Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco. Yeah, that's true. Both great ones. There's another guy I would also put up for that, but I can't think of it right now. I'll think about it later. So playoff. If we're talking Week 18 right now, how massive is it for Dallas to get that 2 seed?
It's literally their season is on the line because they suck on the road. They're one of the worst teams on the road, and if they don't get the 2 seed, they're going to be playing on the road throughout the entire playoffs. So that game is huge. Thankfully, they play the Commanders, and the Commanders are the worst, or one of, if not the worst team in the NFL. So it's huge for them to get that 2 seed, in my opinion.
Is it in Dallas or is it in Washington? It's in Washington. Ooh.
It is. But they're still. I think they're 12.5-point favorites. So
they are. Yes, I did check that earlier. Yes,
would be pretty cowboy thing to do to lose that game. But man, yeah, that's huge for them to get the 2 seed.
Massive. I think that them not getting the 2 seed would be them not making the NFC title game. I'm calling it now. If they do not succeed in wrapping up this 2 seed, they don't make the play. They don't make the playoffs. What I'm saying, they don't make the NFC title game.
It could be the first domino to fall to knock them out of the playoffs.
It's also either you're going to Tampa, which I don't feel like is a good game for them to want to go to. Like, you don't want to go on the road, play Tampa. Tampa's a tough team. Or you hosting the Packers or the Seahawks. Yeah. Or the Vikings still somehow. Or the Saints, technically, I guess.
Potentially the Vikings.
Not really, but
it's probably going to be the Packers.
Well, yes, if they beat Chicago, I think they're in. But how mad would it be if we just sit here and crapped on that NFC South? They come out and have 2 playoff teams because the Packers lose the Bears, the Seahawks. I don't even remember who's the Seahawks playing this week. The Cardinals, which they pull off a massive upset, could ride that. That's a possible game. This Cardinals team's interesting. They're not good, but they're interesting. Yeah. And like the Saints could just jump both those teams. I'd be kind of mad because they don't play. If they played the Bucks, it'd be impossible. But they don't. So it's very possible. So if you're Dallas, it's night and day difference. Massive game. Can't wait to see those both at the same time because the Eagles also have to win that one too for it to matter for that either. Unless I don't think
that game and then the Bills Dolphins.
Bills Dolphins massive. So that's a Sunday night game. Dolphins getting the 2 seed would be huge too.
Crazy scenario where the Bills could win the game, be the 2 seed, lose it, and miss the playoffs entirely. That's crazy.
And I feel like we've done a pretty good job of giving them some credit, but I want to give them some more credit here now. about how great of a turnaround of the season they've had. You know, they started off so poor. I was like, this team's not a playoff team. What's going on? And then they flip the switch, and it's just there it is. And
They've
this
been
team's
playing
really
playoff
really come
football for
together.
like a month.
And they have been, yes. And it's massive for them to get the 2 seed because who the heck wants to go to Buffalo in January? I don't. I don't
even
know.
think Buffalo
Nobody
wants to.
No, yeah. I mean, who wants to go deal with flaming tables and people throwing mustard and ketchup on a guy's face and just, let's go Buffalo. Like, no one wants to hear that crap. I mean, come on now. Like, so
Yeah.
It is absolutely imperative for Buffalo to win this game. And man, also let's talk about this game on Saturday. I'm actually really excited for this Colts-Texans game. I think it's gonna be a good one. I think it's gonna be close. It's gonna come down to the wire. I'm
Very
weirdly excited about it because it's gonna be a good one. And I think the Texans actually pull it out. That's just me. We're gonna see CJ Stroud doing his thing against either Miami or Buffalo. That's tough environment for your first playoff game, but it's gonna be exciting. I also selfishly want CJ Stroud to win because who the heck wants to watch Gardner Minshew go struggle in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, I think that the Texans.
You do.
Well, I would love to see the Colts in the playoffs, obviously, but in my unbiased opinion, would be 1, the NFL wants CJ Stroud in the playoffs. 2, the Texans have a higher ceiling than the Colts do. Even though I think the Colts win this game because CJ Stroud can ball out at any given time, I think that the Texans have a higher ceiling than the Colts do in the playoffs.
I also think that their defense has kind of turned it on here as of late. Now, it's hard to say when you play against the crappy Titans who have no offensive line. And, Will Anderson gets 2 sacks in one game.
And they still gave up they gave up like 21 points that game to the Titans.
The second game, no, we scored 3. And that's it.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the first one.
Yeah, first one, yes. That was a lot better of a game for us, thank you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this AFC, I could easily see a couple wild card teams just being absolute, just dogs to have to go against. Who in the heck wants to play Cleveland right now? If I'm a team and if I'm Jacksonville, I'm pissed. I might actually throw on purpose. We'll make the playoffs next year. We
don't want to go to Cleveland.
Trevor Lawrence has already hurt enough. Let's just not do this to ourselves.
Myles Garrett would
Tennessee, you can win
through the atmosphere.
He would. And by the way, let's talk about how this is the most Vrabel-esque game. We're going to come out and beat Jacksonville week 18 for it not to matter, just to knock them out of the playoffs. And that means the winner of Indy versus Houston wins the division.
Yep. That'd be kind of crazy that one of them could win the division.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. Do you think Pittsburgh's a playoff team?
I think they have a great shot at making it. I mean, they're facing the Ravens backups to make it. So they have a great shot at making it. Now, do they deserve to be there? I mean, I don't know. They're very well coached. Mike Tomlin always has his team doing super, super well, but I don't want to see Mason Rudolph in the playoffs. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
By the way, first prediction of the offseason, one of the predictions we said is already came true. I told you that Mike Tomlin's going to go over 500.
He does it every year. It's literally like death,
you
taxes,
said no.
and that.
You could have. You said that he wasn't going to, though. That's what I'm saying. You had the option to say no or to say yes, he is, but you said no. So I'm just saying, I get it. They probably shouldn't have been this, at 9-17, but here they are. They're doing it again.
They have the record that they do.
Yeah,
frankly,
that's fair.
But here they are. They literally they're here, and they need the Bills to lose, to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
pretty much a win and get in and see what happens. That's basically that's what they need to happen.
Yep, they have to win.
They either need the Bills to lose or they need the Jags to lose. Yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, and the Jags are playing the Titans, who I don't even know if they want to win. So
I don't know if I want to win. I'm a fan, which I hate. I hate being in this purgatory of, well, I want to see my team play and win, but draft pick. It's I hate that. I hate it. Can't stand it. Cannot stand it.
Well, they're in it. All right, there's a little bit of a breakdown on the current playoff situation.
Mike said Steelers only make the playoffs if Bills lose and if they win, obviously. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, that's the
kidding.
That's the breakdown.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Last segment. We know it doesn't
Most
have
profitable
to. No, we are doing.
Oh,
my-
never mind. You're right. Yes.
My soundboard.
I jumped the gun, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
My soundboard's not working, but whatever. College football playoff is going to championship is going to occur before our next podcast. So I wanted us to give our prediction. Who do we have winning? And let's give a we can do a final score too for funsies.
Oh God. Okay. I go Washington 24-17.
Ooh, you think it's that low scoring of a game and Washington pulls it out?
I don't trust in JJ McCarthy to do anything because I still think he's booty butt cheeks because he's not a good quarterback. I will always say that. He's not going to do anything in the NFL. He has no pro prospect chances. He shouldn't even been in the single top 10 for Heisman voting. This guy is awful. He just sits there and rides a good defense and really good running back. That's all he did. And then he threw like crossing routes. Good job. You know that do the most basic fundamentals of football. And then you run around like a little hobbit. Like, cool. I think Michael Penix is a really good quarterback. And this defense is very good. And this is probably the best defense he goes up against. But this is also one of the best offensive line cores in all of college football. They keep him open up. They keep him up a little bit longer.
That's what they do. That is what they do best. They keep him from getting hit. That is why their offense is able to have such success because he, one, gets it out so fast, and two, their offensive line does not allow sacks ever.
So here's the thing: it's either going to be it's going to be a big blowout because Washington's offense just hits, or it's going to be close and Washington pulls it out at the end. That's my two predictions.
You don't see a world where Michigan wins.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I do. I've got Michigan winning 31-21. I got Michigan.
By the way, you better be
by 10.
They're in the title game. During the title game, you better be wearing khaki pants if this is what you're going to be saying.
My best Jim Harbaugh impression.
Just wearing khakis and just screaming, "Who is it better than us?"
I think, other than the quarterback position and the receiver position, Michigan is better at every facet of the game. I think that they're going to be able to keep Penix off the field. They're going to be able to run the ball down Washington's throat. Washington has not been a good defense the entire season. So I think that Michigan's definitely going to be able to move the ball for sure. I know that for sure. So, and I think that if they can find a way to get to Penix, even though no team ever does, I really think Michigan is the better team, and I think they're going to win this game. I've got Michigan 31-21 is my prediction.
All right. Mike also said, "You know the right answer, Zach."
I don't know the right answer. Yes, the right answer is Michigan. All right.
Hail to the victors.
Let's go ahead and get right into the most profitable segment in all of sports with our bets of the week. My transition sound effect on the soundboard is not working. My Wi-Fi is apparently just buns at this point. So sorry about it.
May not be buns when you move to the West.
Hopefully not. I'll go ahead and go first with my picks because it's a perfect segue from what we just talked about. Michigan, minus 4.5 is my first pick. I just laid out my explanation on why I have that one. Next pick, Colts money line. I think that they're the better team. I think that they have the better coach. I think that they have the better run game. I think that they can score with the Texans. I think Gardner Minshew is I know Gardner Minshew is a veteran quarterback against CJ Stroud, who is a rookie. Give me the better coach team with the veteran quarterback with the run game in a big pressure spot like this with a win in or in. Colts money line is my second pick.
I have a question.
What's
the Colts head coach's name?
The what?
What's the Colts head coach's name?
I know his name. I know his name.
I'm dying.
If you didn't ask me it, I would be able to say it.
Shane Steichen, bro.
I was about to say I want to say Sirianni because he came from the Eagles because he was the Eagles OC. Shane Steichen. Yes, I knew that. I knew his name. I just could not verbally say it. I know his whole backstory. I know his whole lore, but couldn't remember his name.
Can you tell me? Can you tell me who the Texans coach is?
It was Love. That's not him anymore. It was Lovey. It was Lovey Smith. But
DeMeco
now,
Ryans, bro.
from the 49ers. Dude, I know where all these guys are from, but I can't think of their names. I'm just bad with names. It's the 49ers defensive coordinator.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm deceased. I'm no longer.
You're interrupting my most profitable segment.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. And then my final pick: Steelers -3 against the Ravens. The Ravens are going to be playing their backups. The Steelers want this game very badly, and I just think that the Steelers versus backup Mike Tomlin versus a backup squad. Give me Mike Tomlin all day long. Steelers -3 is my last pick.
I like it.
Those are my 3 picks.
Not the Colts part, but I like the 3.
Yeah.
I have the I would pick the Texans. That's just me. And it's not one of my 3, so no. All right, my first one in the most profitable segment of the week. I'm going Bills money line. This game's a must win. Playing in Buffalo, they have to get it done. This is it. Just knock it out. Miami's been struggling. You've been on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the playoffs. Get that 2 seed. This one, I took the spread, but really, honestly, you should probably take the money line. I'm going Bears money line over the Packers. They've been hot. Packers, they just came off a big win against the Vikings. Just absolutely demolished them. But I'm riding the Bears. It's going to be they're in Lambeau. It's a big rivalry. They don't like each other. Bears really don't have anything to play for except knock the Packers out of the playoffs. So why not be the biggest villain in the world to your biggest rival? That's my thought process on that one. And then this other one is just strictly business. Eagles fans, do not feel bad. This is not me wishing for your demise. This is only me wishing for better draft pick placement.
Strictly business.
I'm going Giants money line.
Oh my gosh.
Book it.
Do the Titans jump the Giants if they win and they lose?
I think so.
Oh my gosh. Giants beat the Eagles. I mean, they did just lose to the Cardinals, so.
And like you said, it doesn't matter after a certain point. Whenever they see in the play, like, oh, we can't win the 2 seed, might as well just lose.
Yeah, they could pull the starters at some point. That's fair.
It really doesn't help us, but it doesn't hurt us. Let's just say that. The Giants are still behind us, technically. We are, the 7th pick right now? 6th, apparently. But
6th pick, I think.
Yes, but, I think the worst we can get is, 8th.
Yeah. Yep, that's the lowest they can go. All right, there is the most profitable segment in all of sports. Don't just like the picks. I love them. All right. Feelings
even my Giants one?
And I can see it. I like the spread. I like the spread a lot better, but
I mean, that's fair.
All right.
Ballsy.
Feeling of the week. DJ, what is your feeling of the week? Before we
Can you go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Head on out like a baby.
Puka Nacua should win Rookie of the Year this season. He is about to break a record if he gets 28 yards in the last season. That has stayed. That has in the last game of the season that has stood for 60 plus years since 1962. Bill Groman from the Houston Oilers has held the most yards in any season by a rookie, and Puka Nacua, if he gets 28 yards this game, is going to break it. So I think that Puka Nacua should win Rookie of the Year. If you break a record that has stood for over 60 years, you should win Rookie of the Year. I know, I get it. CJ Stroud's been great. He could bring his team to the playoffs. That's amazing for a rookie quarterback. But Puka Nacua is about to break a 60-year-old record. This man deserves Rookie of the Year.
How annoying is it that the Rams have him and Cooper Kupp?
Hey.
I mean, hey, kudos to your franchise. But dang, can you cheer some receivers?
They know to draft the white boys.
Apparently, those guys just kind of squirm in the middle, and there you are.
Yeah.
My feeling of the week is this the first white cornerback that we have seen be projected a first-round pick? The corner out of Iowa, Dijon. This might be in my lifetime, this might be the first white cornerback prospect I've seen that is projected for the first-round pick.
Yeah. I can't remember another one.
I can't either. First rounder. Here we are.
Just in case is that he's going to be drafted in the first round?
I think so. The guy is also a great punt returner, and apparently the Titans love to pick guys that are good covered corners and are good punt returners.
Yeah.
Insert Adoree Jackson.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
But yeah, there you go. That might be the first. My feeling of the week. This might be the first white corner we've seen, and it is a tough position for us white boys. Let's be honest.
That's why there hasn't been one in so long.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. There we go. My soundboard is not working, so we have no outro music. But thank you for listening to the Feelings Over Facts podcast. Join us again next week on the YouTube Live. I want to see everybody in the chat next week. Thank you for joining us. I'm Zach Simmons. He's my co-host, Daniel Jones, a.k.a. DJ. Good night and